Breaking news, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has responded to the Swift banking announcement. And during today's episode, we are going to address many of the concerns for the XRP community when it comes to Swift banking replacing the XRP ledger. Brad Garlinghouse sent out a brand new letter to Ripple shareholders that we're going to be showing to our community today. If you guys are excited about this exclusive content, show us some love, smash that like button, and subscribe to the brand new channel, as we're also going to provide an XRP price chart update towards the back end of the episode, showing our community how this journey is just getting started. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Evening Crypto, your favorite crypto news related channel. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button so you can get an update every single day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to dive right into this content for today's episode, as last night during a live stream, Claver shared an exclusive shareholder update from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, addressing many of the concerns that the XRP community had after the Swift banking announcement. For anybody who hasn't heard the news, Swift is going to be tapping blockchain layer 2 built on top of Ethereum called Liena. They're going to be focused on smart contracts and eventually a stablecoin. Now, it's important to note, Swift has not stated they are building their stablecoin on Ethereum, but the community seems to be running with that narrative. With that being said, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse responded to these claims, letting the XRP community know this journey with the XRP ledger and us overcoming the banking industry, it is just getting started here in 2025. Here it is.
And on the Swift announcement, I'm going to read verbatim what he sent out to shareholders and other people that are on Ripple's cap table. He said, in other headlines, Swift announced it has built a prototype for a blockchain-based shared ledger to be added to its infrastructure stack, initially focusing on real-time 24/7 cross-border payments. I've received a number of questions this week about this and what it means for the industry and Ripple. Frankly, it made me realize I haven't shared enough recently about the thoughts I have around who we view as our core competitors. And perhaps I will spend some time on the competitive landscape in an upcoming note. I digress. It's true, in the early days, we did view Swift as a major competitor, but the reality is, in the time it's taken for them to announce a prototype, we've been building robust digital asset infrastructure, expanding on our payments product to custody, or from our payments product to custody, stablecoins, and development on the XRPL and more with recent acquisitions. Also, we've dug in to the Swift news, and it really seems more like a marketing play in the lead up to their annual conference, Sibos, rather than an actual meaningful product announcement. So there you go. From the CEO at Ripple.
And there you have it, Johnny Krypto. Now, what I think is very important about that is Brad addressed the concerns. Ripple has been on this journey for 13 years, starting all the way back in 2012, changing the future of finance, building central banking collaborations, and of course, onboarding central banks and financial companies all around the world into blockchain products centered around the XRP ledger. And it seems to be that the biggest concern in the XRP community is, why won't a company like Swift just copy the coding of XRP and implement that for their own business model? Because it is the network effect that is much more important. Ripple has spent 13 years onboarding new financial products and new use cases onto the XRP ledger. They've also had the confidence of the central banking system to be working on top of the XRP ledger and developing Ripple products, leveraging this underlying technology. If other companies could simply copy the code and launch their same blockchains, we would have witnessed companies like JP Morgan take the same strategy. But instead, what do we see time and time again? They are forced onto a slower, more expensive network in Ethereum because it's all about the network effect. Smart contracts, stable coins, the majority of the on-chain economy takes place on Ethereum. And that's why we're witnessing JP Morgan and these guys launch blockchain products there. Swift looks like it's taking the same approach. It is not as easy as just copying the XRP ledger's code and then implementing that at a global scale. But Johnny Krypto, what's your reaction of Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse responding in this shareholder letter and saying, quite frankly, I think it's a marketing play?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you would expect that the CEO is going to address it in some way to handle all the questions that are coming in, and I'm sure he's getting a ton of questions because this is kind of one of their main plays, right? But I want to go back to something I've been saying for a long, long time that most people don't understand in technology is it takes a long time to build and develop technology. When I keep showing you and talking about this speculation to utility curve, it typically is 12 years, 12 to 14 years. And just think about that. Ripple has already just been about that long in space to play and to develop and learn and build a product. And now Swift's going to start today. Think of the head start that everybody else has. Way. It's going to be almost impossible for them to build their own and kind of. So they're going to ride on something else. And it doesn't surprise me if they're going to try to tie into an Ethereum-based play, since Ethereum is really the other longest running play out there. But we know it's inefficient. It's going to need a layer 2 or something to scale, to be able to handle that. But in terms of from an XRP perspective, listen, I think Ripple, the company, knew that they needed to find other use cases for its technology outside of just cross-border payment solutions. And so for me, this doesn't really, as he said, the game is just getting started. We don't know how the world is going to look like fast forward 5 years from now, how the world is going to run on blockchains. Nobody knew when the internet was started, right? What it was going to look like. And it changed so many times from what people thought it was going to be to what it was going to actually be. The cheaper, better, faster solutions typically win. And we know that XRP provides that. Thing's been around for 12, 13 years, has had no failures, right? It's a proven technology. So for me, I just sit back. We just look to see where the competitors start to play. Now, remember, Abs, Ripple has been out there planting seeds with their technology, not just in the US, but in the rest of the world too. They're in 40 different countries. So they really have a massive head start. So for anybody who might be out there worried about, oh my God, what does this mean for XRP? It just means that they're going to continue to find ways to create use cases for their technology. And for me, I think, Brad came out, and Brad's not wrong. Whenever there are like annual events and things like that, these companies want to have news. Swift wants to have news, right? And we've heard them, other companies say, oh, we're going to partner with this, we're going to partner. Just because you're partnering with someone to test their technology out, it doesn't mean that's the answer. I just want everybody to know that. We've done that plenty of times in our business. We partner with someone, we try something out, okay, it didn't work, and we move on. So they may partner, with whoever they're going to partner with, try it out, it doesn't work, and come knocking on Ripple's door. Hey, you know what? We want your technology. So I would just tell everybody take a deep breath, relax. It's very, very early on. And frankly, to be honest with you, this next round of money that's going to be made off of XRP apps, it isn't going to be made based on utility. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be made off speculation. And the speculation narrative is still out there for all these blockchain technologies.
And we talk about many blockchain products here on Good Evening Crypto, and one of those being CHAINLINK, guys, because CHAINLINK has officially confirmed a collaboration with Swift. And this is another reason why the XRP army should be sitting back with confidence, knowing there's going to be different portions of the crypto economy that need different use cases. Ripple and the XRP ledger are not competing with CHAINLINK, and I will cover that definitively. But here's what Dave W. had to say. Can someone from the XRP army, and then he went on to tag our friend Mickle, so we're always going to ride with Mickle Mafia and the XRP community, explain how XRP is more than 10 times CHAINLINK's value when CHAINLINK has a real partnership with Swift and a clear path to revenue to be shared with token holders. And we've covered this for a long time, Johnny. Swift has been working in collaboration with CHAINLINK dating all the way back to the summer of 2024. But a former Ripple developer, Matt Hamilton, actually responded, and he had a great response. Trying to compare their value is sort of meaningless. Link is a protocol, and the XRP ledger is an actual network. XRP is the native asset of that entire network, where Link is just a token used within the protocol, which is a very important difference when you talk about profit sharing on the underlying network. But Johnny, you brought up the speculation about the XRP price chart. We were telling our listeners throughout the entire month of October, you can probably repeat this data like it's sitting on the back of your hand. October is the most bullish month for digital assets, followed by November. October gives an average return of 22%. November gives an average return of 46% every single year. And what did we see over these last 48 hours? We watched the XRP token reach $3 in value, and we also had Bitcoin passing $120,000 earlier today. So I wanted to give our listeners a little bit of insight into some of the key price targets that they should be keeping an eye on as an XRP investor heading into alt season. XRP is trying to make its next move here, said CoinsKid. If we can take out the upper red line, which is sitting at $3.18, we could see an impulsive move up to at least $4.13 on the price chart. That is in the month of October. If you agree, guys, smash that like button and leave a comment underneath the video. We'd love to hear some of your thoughts. We're going to play the video from Jake Claver describing what his reaction was to Brad Garlinghouse denouncing this Swift news. Here it is.
Say my piece. Again, prototype or 13-year track record with no downtime other than a couple pauses, and a bunch of other infrastructure that's already been scaled on top of it with multiple participants already using the network to be able to settle transactions. I'm pretty confident they're going to go with the latter. I'm pretty sure that they're going to have to work with what everybody else has already chosen rather than, trying to skimp things along and get things into, these institutions last minute here. Seems like I'm going to agree with Brad, probably more of a marketing play. They obviously are looking at settlement technology for Swift. And, if there's something that has legal clarity here in the US and also has enough liquidity in it, I think they might use that.
There you have it, Johnny Krypto. I think Jake Claver agrees with us. One of the positive indicators here is that Swift is actively working with blockchain companies to improve their existing business model. For a long time, probably up until this calendar year, that was in some way, shape, or form speculation. Now that's a definitive truth. They're coming out and telling the general public, this is what we're actively doing here inside the Swift building. Love to hear some of your thoughts as Jake Claver's reaction.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it doesn't make sense to me why, Swift is out there trying to create a solution when there's a company that already has one. And for me, so it's one of those things like, okay, we know it. They know XRP. They know it's out there. They know what it can do. And so for me, I just wonder if they're sitting there going, all right, let's see if there's something better, cheaper, faster we can find out there. And if we can't, then maybe we default back to that. To me, it just makes no sense. You've already got a solution that you can bolt on to what you have or partner with to be able to, in a sense, cannibalize yourself versus letting somebody else do it for you. And to me, that's the most logical solution here is for Swift to go, look, we have the answer. XRP, let's figure a partnership out here. How do we bring this together? And why that hasn't happened to me is mind-boggling. But like Jake says, that product's out there. We know it works. It's been there. And when will that come together? Well, sometimes what has to happen in technology apps is you have to try yourself and you have to fail. And then when you fail, you're like, all right, you know what? We tried. We can't. There's something else that let's go that route. And so that's what could be happening here. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it from this perspective. And we're still a long ways away from utility, like the way, the real world utility. Now, what people think is utility and what I call real world utility are completely different. And that's why there's a lot of always issues here. But the reality is we still have a long way to go before we get to that. The point is, along the way, you're going to try these different trials, these different prototypes to get to where you're going. And like Jay said, XRP has 13 years in the bank of proven technology running, showing it can work. It's going to win in multiple areas and multiple places.
The CME Group has announced that they will introduce 24/7 trading for cryptocurrencies, futures, and options starting in Q1 2026. Now, this is pending regulatory approval, but here's why it matters. Options for both Solana and XRP go live on the CME on October 13th, only 11 days from today. So this comes on the back of the news that the NASDAQ is also going to be moving to 5 days a week trading starting in Q2 2026. As these products start to become 24/7 and 24/5, that can only be done through blockchain technology. And I think this acknowledgement from the CME lets us know the floodgates haven't yet opened and we're still watching these catalysts come to fruition. Any quick remarks on this one?
I mean, that's literally my point, right? At the end of the day, the whole world hasn't even realized yet what crypto can do for it or what blockchain can do for it. The blockchain technology and crypto, we've been running 24/7 apps since it started. And yet, think about how long this has been running, 15 years. And here we have the stock market that's very mature, and it can't even do more than 5 days a week because of settlements. All that is about to change, and these blockchains that you're showing in front of you here are the ones that are going to enable it to make that happen. So you can't get hung up and start worrying, because you hear this rumor, you hear that rumor, because they're partnering with this, partnering with that, that the technology that you might have invested in it has no chance. I would just encourage you to be like, no, it's too early. And the best way to win in this market is diversification. You want to make sure that you're diversified in a number of different places. Have some Chainlink, have some XRP, have some Ethereum, right? If you're diversified enough, Abs, you're not going to, you're putting yourself in the best position to win as we figure out how the world is going to adopt and run on blockchain technologies.
In many ways, I agree, guys. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button. Now, I would want to say, in regards to Brad Garlinghouse response to Swift, it's more of the same. The XRP ledger is built for a competitive market. We have the best technology. We have the best leadership team. We have the closest relationship with the United States government. And very soon, we will have mass adoption here inside the United States. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all in the next one.